Ladies and gentlemen, we finally got an update from Toys for Bob after they have been in development on their current project for just about a year now. And you're hearing it here first on the channel because it's a CGE exclusive. Let's talk about it. What's up guys, Canadian Guy here, and I am back with a brand new video giving you an update on Toys for Bob. About a month ago, I reached out through official channels that I have access to ask if I could do an interview with somebody from Toys for Bob like I've done in the past. Unfortunately, due to tight development and circumstances, there simply was not enough time to be able to do another video interview like I've done numerous times in the past. However, I was able to get a number of my questions answered via an email interview with a member from Toys for Bob. And the person that took the time to answer those questions that I submitted was none other than Paul Yan, the co-studio head and creative director at Toys for Bob. So I wanted to say thank you to Paul Yan for taking the time to answer a number of our and my burning questions. Now, there's two things of note that I have to talk about before we get into the interview. Number one, if you're expecting me to do a massive breakdown of what is said here and extrapolate what it could mean in this video, it's not gonna happen. It's gonna be saved for the next video. I don't want to put words into Paul's mouth or cause any sort of assumptions. I want to make sure it is crystal clear that in terms of what is being said in this video is directly from Toys for Bob and to not be misconstrued with what I think it means. And two, if there is an obvious question that you feel is not being answered or asked, just assume it's probably because the scope and what can be answered and what I was allowed to ask is more limited in this current time. Now, without further ado, let's get into that interview. You will see Paul Yan's text as closed captioning on the bottom so that it's clear what is being said by Paul and what's being said by me. Now, it's basically been a year since we heard that Toys for Bob had announced that they were going independent, and it's basically been radio silence from them since then. So before we even got started with the questions, I asked Paul how he and the team were overall doing. Hi CG, I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. You're right. We have been silent, but alive and kicking. It's more of a deep focus kind of silence. Now, many people may not fully grasp what being an indie developer means or what the differences are compared to before. So I briefly asked Paul to explain to everyone just in case what it means to be an independent developer to Toys for Bob. Being indie for us means that we now exist and operate as an independent company. We're no longer a unit within a larger corporation. That independence comes with exciting new freedoms to run things our own way, but it also comes with a lot of new responsibilities. I then followed up that question, asking what their experience has been like so far being an independent studio, after being owned by Activision for so many years. Basically, what was it like to be a part of such a giant company and now being on your own? Honestly, the transition has kind of felt like moving out of your parents' house for the first time. The first few months were an absolute blur as we attempted to do a lot of complex things in a very short amount of time. Incorporate, set up banking, sign leases, draft legal papers, establish a new IT infrastructure, deploy equipment, lock in publishing agreements. Wait a minute, did we forget to update the website? The list goes on and on. This is probably not what you think of when talking about game development, but it's the important, unglamorous, fundamental work needed so we can get to actual development. Once we got through the majority of that initial setup, the team very quickly picked up where we left off, and we've been off to the races ever since. Now, if you remember, last year we all had a bit of a scare that Toys for Bob itself was being shut down. While there was unfortunately a large portion of the team laid off, the physical studio itself had also shut down. But thankfully, the heart of the studio continued to be on, as most of them already have gone 100% remote and decided that the studio was no longer required, and so Paul Yan decides to completely explain what happened here. For many years, we worked in a quirky tiki plus pirate themed office in a converted military hangar. The space was so unique and charming, and I have many fond memories gathering there. It's been a long while since that was the way we came together. For the last 5 or so years, we've been operating fully remote. We held onto a portion of the office mostly to retain the option of going back if circumstances changed. As the years went on, working remotely became more and more second nature. We're also no longer a simple car ride away from each other. It's a real logistical challenge to try and get everyone together for in-person events, and so they've become more and more rare. That's definitely one downside. But all in all, collaborating this way has been a good fit with our team size, and it's opened up a lot of personal flexibilities that make it easier to balance work and life responsibilities. When the office lease eventually expired, we decided not to renew it, and honestly, we haven't looked back since. So last year, we all found out that shortly after Toys for Bob became independent, they partnered up with Xbox for their next project. So I asked them what about their partnership has stood out to them thus far, but we also found out that Toys for Bob isn't just working with Xbox. Team Xbox and Activision have been very, very supportive. Our check-ins almost always end with them asking, how else can we help? We work with some wonderful people that genuinely care and want us to succeed, and I'm very grateful to be collaborating with them. Clock what he just said there and keep note of it, especially for the next video when I break all of this down. With Toys for Bob going indie, it gives them a lot of flexibility. They could invent their own franchises or work with other companies on both new and already existing IPs and franchises. Over time, certain studios have become known for a specific vision or play style. Basically, their look. So I wanted to ask, what vision did Paul have in mind for Toys for Bob? What did they want to be known for? For me, it all goes back to our mission. We ultimately want to inspire love, joy, and laughter for the inner child in all gamers. Toys for Bob is at our best when we're crafting whimsical worlds full of colorful characters, and we're going to follow our noses to the opportunities and partnerships that align with that mission, whether that's through original or established IP. So noting with what he just said, I was genuinely curious. If Toys for Bob could work with any company on any franchise, what would they work on? Well, let's just say a certain fan base is about to go a little crazy. There's so many, and that's one of the exciting new possibilities of being independent. One company we'd like to work with is one we're already working with, Team Xbox. They've been a great partner, and they also have a very interesting roster of characters that Toys for Bob could have a lot of fun with. The Honey Bear is the first one that comes to mind. I think we all can agree Banjo's been hibernating long enough, right? And so as the interview comes down to a close, I had to ask the $1,000,000 question. The question that many of you have probably been bouncing in your seat asking since the start of this video. What is next for Toys for Bob? Were there any details that could be shared or even hinted at? And his answer was, I can't spill the beans just yet, but I will say that we're very much in the thick of development. The team is very thrilled about how the experience is shaping up. This game is big and ambitious and pushes our craft to new heights, and I can't wait to tell you more about it when the time is right. As typically expected, we didn't get too much information on what they are currently working on, but it's ambitious and pushes Toys for Bob's craft to new heights. Now, you might be wondering, CGE, why are all of Paul's answers in purple? Well, that's because in the email that was sent to me, all of Paul's answers, by his choice, were in purple. I'll save my thoughts for that for my next video, which has me breaking all of this down and injecting my thoughts and analysis on what Paul has said. If it's live, you should see it right here. And if it's not there, make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss it. Thank you again, Paul Yan, for taking the time to answer these questions, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.